Shalom, shalom. You know, I'm not very good at keeping track of time aside from Shabbat or Sabbath. Sorry, first things first. Shama Yisrael, Yahuwah Eloheinu, Yahuwah Echad, Yehovah Tithah, Yahuwah Eloheinu, V'kol Levavak, V'kol Nefeshak, V'kol Medak. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. First things first, putting our house in order, so to speak. And this is part of the daily practice, at least where I'm at in my life, and I still have a lot of work to do. I'm enjoying a little bit of babka left over from Sabbath last week. Got my hot coffee after microwaving the water about 3 times because my water boiler broke. Yeah, that's good and hot. Hallelujah. Hot coffee is good. So, I'm always learning. And in learning, I feel an incumbent desire to share. And I recently spoke about how I'm redirecting this channel in an effort to communicate with my son as if he's here with me, because right now he's not with me. But I also see that it should not just be for my son, but also for my brother. And who is my brother? My brother is called Yisrael, or Israel commonly. And we are called one. We are called Benai, the singular form that can also include plurality, because, for example, I'm one man, but I'm also a body. And within this body, there are many parts that make up that body to become one body. So therefore, what is singular is also a form of what is plural. And I've been doing a lot of reflecting lately because I've had some kind of unnerving things pop up in my radar, so to speak. Some powerful revelation through gematria, which is the math behind the Hebrew language. Some powerful revelation in my own life. And some experiences I've had recently. So right now I'm feeling a bunch of pressure because we're supposed to be having a big, huge snowstorm coming in New York. And I really need to get to California, because if I don't, I'm not going to be able to keep my word. I have to deal with some of my personal property that's out there that somebody else has been caring for, being a caregiver of. They've been sheltering it. I have some business that I have to deal with. I have to be a man of my word, honor my word. And so I'm stretched because right now I'm here in New York and I'm not able to deal with the things that I need to deal with. And I've also been stuck here for this weather, but we've got a little break in the weather. So now I'm under pressure to get what I need finished while I can. And if there's an opportunity to finally get up this hill that's been blocking me in here, that I might actually be able to find my way back to California. There's something that's been really on my mind recently, is that most of us in life are not on what I would call as a dedicated spiritual path. And so sometimes it's hard for me to recognize that my path is not as a part of this body, Benai Yisrael, that part of my path may be completely different than someone else's path. And that doesn't mean that we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing. Someone out there that's a man, his path and his whole highest spiritual work right now might be simply being a father. It might be simply doing his job with the highest level of integrity and being a light into the world through how he conducts himself as maybe an owner of a company or an employee or whatever work he or she is doing. It could be, for a woman, it could be, how do you be a great wife and mom? Or how do you be a great daughter and sister? So I have to remember not to get too frustrated with my brothers and sisters because they're not on the same path that I'm on. And that doesn't mean that they're not doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. My path is just a little different. My path as Nazyr is a form of priesthood, but I would say it's actually a form of priesthood that is a reflection of our time in the wilderness. And this is also part of our rough, uncut appearance is a reflection of being in a natural state. I'm sure that there are others like my brother Yonatan who can expand on this in greater detail of a lot of what it means to be Nazyr, or commonly called a Nazarite. I had a very interesting experience recently with another Nazyr. It was very interesting because what was revealed to me through that experience is that there's always two sides to a coin. And I believe that through the revelation of what happened in this encounter that I was shown, that we were both two sides of one coin. One was representing night, one was representing day. One was representing physical, one was representing spiritual. Now it was my desire for us to be echad. My desire for us was to come together, to balance one another, and to manifest together. But unless that's a mutual desire, you can't impose your will on someone else. If you do impose your will on someone else, that's actually a form of witchcraft. That's actually what black magic really is. It's imposing your will over the natural order. In simple terms, that's what I would at least offer as I understand it to be. And there's lots of different ways that we can do it. What comes to my mind is the, that Disney, the Disney short where Mickey Mouse is the wizard's student. And when the wizard is out of the house, the student begins to play, and he starts to play, and he's in awe of all of this power that he's wielding, so to speak. But then he realizes it's gotten out of control, and he doesn't have the ability to control the thing that he has opened. Hey, don't you chew that blanket. That's not for you to chew, unless you're just wiping your face off. That's okay. Sorry, giving mom a little correction. So we have this picture, right? And so there's this, at first, he's able to maintain the appearance of this control, but then he loses control, and he is out of control, making a mess, a huge mess, until the master returns. And there's somebody that comes to my mind right now that's, that I really hope doesn't go down that path of opening Pandora's box, thinking that they are something that they're not. And then the end result is you create a really big mess for yourself and for others. The servant of Yahuwah, Masha, said that we don't need someone to go to the heights of heavens and the depths of the seas to reveal the mysteries to us, so to speak, that they're already written within our heart and they're within our mouth. And so I would say it's vanity, that this idea that this infatuation with the esoteric, the hidden, this is playing with fire. And fire can easily get out of control and become a deadly force if it doesn't have proper handling. So as I talk about this experience with this other Nazyr, I realized like this other Nazyr, he wanted to create his own religion. And when I heard that, my heart sank a little bit, to be honest, because I don't believe we need another religion. What we need is just love, truth, justice, or even scales, and lawfulness, which is righteousness. These are the 4 pillars of creation, the 4 pillars of the house that we're invited to share with the Almighty One as Yisrael, as his son. In fact, this is revealed in the word Evan in Hebrew, Elaf Bith Nun, Elaf Bith being father, Bith Nun being son, and yet they have this one character, this one letter that's the central letter, the middle, the midpoint, the heart of the word, which is a Bith, a house. And so we can see that a father and a son forms a rock, and a rock is a father and a son that share one house. Mashiach said that a wise man builds his house upon a rock or a stone, but the foolish man builds his house upon sand. Sand is very unstable, and when the rains and the water come, which you could say, some could say that's a form of wisdom, when all this water comes in, if you don't have stability, let's say you're pursuing the esoteric, you're pursuing, you want to know the names of demons and angels and all this stuff, all these mysteries, so to speak, of the realm and what's beyond the realm. Well, let's say when all that water pours down and you're immersed in all of this water and you open up these gates and all this water pours out. If your house is not established upon a rock, your house gets washed away, your house gets ruined, your house gets destroyed. So it's a very serious thing. It's a very dangerous thing. It's a matter of life and death. Sometimes some of these shares that I offer are a way for me to self-actualize, so to speak, or to self-express, a way for me to bring into manifestation that which I'm perceiving, that which I'm recognizing, and then by speaking it and by acknowledging it, I'm bringing it into existence in my own life, and I'm also putting it out there for others. And so if you are a person that's here because you're a truth seeker, because you're like as this stag, it's in Psalms 42, it says, that I'm as this stag that's panting after this fresh water, these streams of water, which effectively is, I would share as a picture of wisdom, a picture of the purity of the spirit of wisdom that we obtain through knowledge, and then da'ath, and then understanding, bina, and then ultimately hakama, wisdom. So if you're one of these people that would relate to being this stag, this thirsty deer in the wilderness, seeking this fresh, crisp, clean water that refreshes and brings life, then this might be for you. The job of the servant who is called to lowliness, it's our job to speak the truth. Le'emar amith chemith, to speak the truth. And that is the job. The job is to deliver the seed to the soil. The job is to speak the truth. Now, some of us are blessed to be able to have a garden where we can stay and we can nurture the seed, we can water it, we can take out the weeds, we can put up trellises to help it grow, and that's like our land, okay? Like that's a picture of someone that has their own property, their own land, okay? I don't have my own land. I don't have my own home. I don't have my own place. And this is a physical picture of my spiritual work, which is lonely. But it's to deliver truth when and where I encounter, call it a plot of land, a fresh patch of soil that can receive this seed and potentially retain and be a home to it, where it will nurture and where it will grow and be fruitful. I've probably lost most everyone at this point. But perhaps if my son actually does watch this, or my brother, they might understand me a little bit better as well. There was a time where I wanted very much to be like everybody else. There was a time where I really very much wanted to have a nice car and have a great job and a great job title and have a beautiful woman and have a beautiful family, and I wanted all these things very much. In fact, I wanted even more than that. At one point, I wanted to be a soldier. I wanted to be a Navy SEAL, and then I gave that up to be a family man, to have a family, to support a family. Effectively, my family left me. I didn't leave my family. And that is also part of my journey. It's part of my walk. It's part of my path. It's part of what I have to experience to be developed into the man that I am meant to be, the man that I was put into my mother's womb and formed within my mother's womb. The writings say that he knew us before we were born, formed us from our mother's womb, knows the number of hairs that are on our head. And so in my journey, in my path, what I can offer to you as a reflection of my experience, since you're having your own experience, is that the work of righteousness, the work of priesthood, the work that is effectively, functionally about trying to draw closer the people to the Creator. Ultimately, that is the purpose of the priesthood. Now, in saying that, I'm not calling myself a priest. I'm calling myself a Nazyr. But we don't have a temple. And it's very interesting that the vow of the Nazyr includes an aspect that is actually more stringent than even the high priest, the Kohen Gadol of the temple, which is that the Kohen Gadol is allowed to participate in the mourning and to be in the presence of their dead mother and father. And the Nazyr, we are forbidden from this. Now, there are some that say that there are different forms of Nazyr. I know my brother Yonatan, I believe, calls himself a Shamshun Nazyr. For me, this is I'm a literalist, so I don't go by the halacha or interpretations of men. I just go by what the Torah says. And I don't see that as a path, so to speak, that's kosher according to Torah. But that doesn't mean that each person doesn't have their own path, and that they're going to learn, be developed, and formed into who they are on their path. I would actually say that Shamshun might be an example of all the things that we're not to do as Nazyr. It's not necessarily an example of. It's not necessarily a good example for us. And why would I say that? Well, because ultimately he lost his eyes. Ultimately, his eyes were gouged out to him. And traditionally, within the Hebraic concept, a blind man is like a dead man. In the same way as a poor man is also often considered like as a dead man. And there's different reasons for that. But he lost his eyes, and then ultimately he lost his gift. His gift came back as his hair ultimately grew back, to the point where he asked the boy to put his hands upon these two pillars, and he pushed apart these two pillars and brought down this huge building that they were feasting in upon himself and upon all these Palashim, commonly called Philistines. So he didn't die well. And you could say that he made several compromises in his life. Delilah was a Philistine woman. As a judge of Israel, he should have known better not to go and be having relations with this prostitute, effectively this harlot, who then twice betrayed him. And yet, even after being betrayed 3 times, he finally gave her the actual secret of his strength, and she betrayed him for money. So I would say that this is actually a warning to us. This whole account in the book of Judges about Shamashun, Nazyr, Shamashun, that of likely what we are actually not to do. But it's very interesting that he was in the presence of the dead because, he slayed many men. Again, so he didn't lose his strength because of that, right? So apparently that would show us that somehow his strength wasn't necessarily tied to obedience, because you could say that there were other ways that he could have approached those problems. It says that the righteous will make peace with their enemies. And when he went to slay them, every time he did that, it escalated it into something greater and greater, right? And then ultimately he died, and then he killed a bunch of Philistines. But did he solve the problem? I don't think so. He had an incredible gift of physical strength. He could have also restrained that physical strength and used that restraint as an example of the loving kindness of the Almighty One. And perhaps in the restraint of his gift, he may have produced a different form of justice. We don't know. We don't know because he did what he did, and all we have is the history of what he did, not what could have been. But I think as an artist, I've learned to look at the positive space of a picture and also the negative space. And in the sense of communication, I listen to what people say, but I also listen to what they don't say. And often, I learn more from what people don't say than what they do say. So if you're someone that is on the path, the narrow path, the straight path, the rock, Iyashar, the straight path, remember to speak the truth. Remember to speak the truth crowned in love, to be fearless, and don't be attached to the result. Don't be attached to whether someone receives it or not. Don't be attached to whether they receive you or not. Speak the truth in love. Speak the truth in justice. Speak the truth in righteousness or lawfulness. And for those that are just seeing this and even got this far in the video, 23 minutes in, wherever you're at in life, know that that's where you are supposed to be. Right now I'm here and I'm asking him, am I supposed to be here through this winter? Am I supposed to be here through another winter, or am I supposed to be someplace else? Will you close the doors, open the doors, direct me, but make it clear so I know what to do. We are where we're supposed to be, and we're always in his hands. Unless we're disobeying, unless we're ignoring his word, unless we're not doing what we're supposed to do. And that's going to result in curses upon us. But those curses are actually for us as well, because they're like consequences that say, whoa, this is no good. This is no good. You got to go the other way, right? If you're feeling anxious, don't try to take a pill to make that anxiety go away. Sit and understand, why are you anxious? Where is this anxiety coming from? I would offer it's usually going to come from something in your life, a choice that you're making that doesn't actually align with your core values. And when we don't align with our core values, there's going to be a form of death, a form of distortion, anxiety, lack of peace, okay? When we are doing what we should be doing and we're doing it in integrity, in love and truth, there will be a sense of peace, okay? It doesn't mean that you won't have questions. It doesn't mean that you won't have insecurities, okay? That's all part of our human process. But know that when you walk according to his word and his spirit, the two witnesses, okay? His word and his spirit, the spirit is what the word came forth from, okay? The spirit is greater than the word. Like we can never, that which comes forth, the physical can never be greater than the spiritual, because the physical came from the spiritual. But the point is for them to be merged as one, to be in harmony, to be in union. And that's what makes them both, that's what ultimately gives the physical its sacredness, is actually merging with the spiritual. So blessings, and rest in his hand, and rest in the truth. Love and respect. ALWAYS. Always. Love and respect all ways. Not just with one L, but with two L's. Hold the staff in each hand, not just one. Plays on words. Blessings, love and respect always in him. Blessings.